What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing a beer from Augustiner-Bräu, and they're headquartered in Munich, Germany, and this is their Lagerbier Hell. So this is a Munich Helles lager that comes in at 5.2% alcohol by volume, 12 IBUs, and at the time of review, I believe that this bottle is just over 9 months old. And I want to give a huge thanks and shout out once again to a very good friend of mine and viewer of the channel, Sierra Hotel, for this beer. So huge thanks to him. In the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies he sent my way. And he sent me an immaculate beer mail that contained 28 unique beers and meads. And this, my friends, was the most thoughtful beer of that entire mail. And you might say, well, there was 28 beers in there, and there was a lot of cool beers. Why is this the most thoughtful? Well, it's because I have been wanting to try this one for many years now. A lot of my UK beer tubing friends have mentioned how good this is for the Helles lagers that are exported from Germany. However, here in the US, for a long time, we only got their Edelstoff and their Maximator, which I've reviewed both on the channel, and I have seen them in recent, within the past year, I've seen both those beers. However, for the first time ever, last year, 2024, this beer finally got distribution to the US, and I was so excited. I started looking everywhere. I even looked when I was down in Ohio, and when I was in Pennsylvania, and then a bunch of places here in Western New York. Can't find this beer. Could not find this beer. Still can't find this beer. Of course, Sierra Hotel, being the super thoughtful and just great dude that he is, threw a bottle of this into that beer mail, and I am super stoked. So like I said, a lot of people consider this one to be one of the best exported Helles lagers that you can get, and I am here for it now. As you can see, they have a code at the bottom there, and I believe I've deciphered that code to be that this was bottled on November 4th of 2025. I am reviewing this, or sorry, not 2025, it hasn't happened yet, 2024. So 11/5/2024. Right now it is early August of 2025, so I'm gonna say just over 9 months old. Is it fresh? It is not. Most German beers that show up here in the US are not fresh. If you're going to get a, Weihenstephan or Eyinger or Paulaner, a lot of times they are not fresh. And when you do find one that's like sub 6 months old, you get excited because it's usually very hard to get those type of beers super fresh here in the US. So this is meant, to probably a lot of the German beers are shelf stable. You can buy a lot of Helles lagers from some of the bigger German breweries, a year or two old, and they're still really good. So I'm hoping that's the case with this one. Thankfully, it's in a brown bottle, so you don't have to worry about oxidation and skunkiness as much as you would if it was in a green bottle or even a clear bottle. Give it the pour. Now, this is only 11.2 fluid ounces, so not going to fill up this bottle, this glass, but we're gonna try to go with like an aggressive pour here if I can. Try to get a decent head on it so it looks better in the glass. But again, it's not going to go right to the top because it is not, it'd be nice if it was a 16 fluid ounce bottle, or even like a 500 milliliter one would be nice as well. But it is what it is. I just think it looks beautiful though in these glasses. So how does that look? Looks like not a proper pour because it's only 11.2 fluid ounces, but it looks beautiful. It has that brilliant clarity to it. You can see my hand through the back of it, has that nice golden yellow color. Or more like a golden yellow-orange color, finger of a beautiful, bright white, fluffy looking head, and I would say that plays the role. If you're talking about a beer in the stein here, or in the mug, I should say, dimpled mug, this is what it should look like. Although it should have a couple more ounces and be to the rim, but what are you gonna do? Not gonna do a whole lot. Let's get nose. Oh, yes. Beautiful. So, I've been drinking a lot of the American brewed Helleses over the past couple years, and I mean, like I said, with these German Helles, they are more shelf stable than a lot of stuff you can get from the U.S., especially even craft breweries. But you get a lot of these Helles lagers that are under a month old from a craft brewery. You just realize how beautiful the beer can be with fresh ingredients, with the beer being fresh. This has that aroma, but you can tell it's a little bit faded because it's older. I always say with Helles lagers, I love the complex bread notes, sourdough bread. Has a little bit of like a honey kind of malt character. Bready, crispy-esque in the nose. Like you just know this is going to be like a crispy boy to some degree. But yeah, for sure. It has a bready malt character, a little bit of honey. Some of that red apple I talk about. Maybe even like a dried lighter stone fruit. A little bit of like a slight floral sensation, and then grassy. Slightly herbaceous. It just has that beautiful sweeter sourdough bread note that I like. It's not as pungent as I would think this beer would be if it was, say, 3 or 4 months old as opposed to 9, but it smells pretty fucking good. Let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks again to Sierra Hotel. Prost. Nice. Really, really nice. Ooh, all right. I was like, all right, so that first sip, maybe, I was like, oh, it's nice. You know, it's a nice beer. I always remember with these Helles lagers, it doesn't happen for me a lot, and I feel like everybody's palate is different. I usually get all the malt goodness up front, and then the hop goodness, usually middle to back of the palate, and then it dries out or whatever. But with Helles lagers, for me, a lot of times, it hits at the front, that like really complex, bready, malty character, but then it dives underneath the palate, and then it hits again on the finish, and that's what happened here. It has a beautiful aftertaste, which really makes this one good. Buying this is like medium touch over medium. You might be even say full bodied for something around 5.2%. I could see it. The mouthfeel, like I said, it's a crispy boy. It's moderate carbonation. It's still smooth on the palate, but it does have a nice crispness to it. Very refreshing. Super clean beer. Taste. The nose really carried over. Sourdough bread at the forefront, sweeter sourdough bread, a little bit of honey in there, hits right at the forefront, dives underneath the palate. You could say a little bit of like a crackery kind of malt character as well, but then it hits again on the finish, and that's where like the finish really wins me over, is because that characteristic isn't necessarily omnipresent, but it hits in 2 different stages or 2 different areas, which is cool. Midway through the palate though, I get a little bit of that, again, I'd say more of like a dried, like lighter stone fruit, like an apricot, peach, nectarine, something, but it's like a dried version of that. A little bit of a sweet fruitiness. There's more of like a red apple skin or like a white pear skin. Lighter, whiter fruits in general. A touch of lemongrass. On the finish though, has more of that grassy herbaceousness, a touch of like a spicy character, but it's more grassy than anything. Firmly dry, almost bone dry, mild to moderate bitterness. This is a little bit sweeter. Helles, you know, if you compare like a Helles to like a German Pilsner, Helles definitely more balanced, maybe even leans a little bit more sweet, where, you know, the German Pilsners have more hop character, a little bit more bitterness. That's why another reason I probably like Helles is I just, when I get a lager, I like more of the malt to be the shining star than anything else, and that's why I love Helles lagers, because I feel like it does do exactly that. But I gotta call a spade a spade. This is an over 9-month-old bottle, and again, I do appreciate Sierra Hotel sending me this bottle. And even if I would have picked it up fresh, say last year, I don't know how fresh it would have been. But again, I didn't see it here, so the chance to try this one is awesome and supersedes anything else I could say about this beer. However, I do feel like if this beer was like 4 to 6 months old as opposed to over 9 months old, it probably would have a little bit more of that intensity to the malt character. Probably just have a little bit more of a boisterous overall like flavor profile. As is though, it's really fucking delicious. It's just, I know this could be much better if it was fresher. At some point, I need to find some of the other bigger Helleses. I am going to be reviewing Hofbrau's original, which is a Helles. And it's funny because that beer is fresher than this one. But it'd be fun to get like that and a couple other of the bigger German breweries and then do like a side-by-side, only if I could find this beer. And I haven't been able to find it yet in New York State. So we'll see if I'm able to acquire some more of this. If so, I think blind taste test between all the Helleses from Germany would be fun. 5.2%, you can't tell. In fact, because of the body being a little bit more luscious and thicker, I would think maybe like 5.5 to 6. But then again, the flavors aren't as intense, so knock it down a bit. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted, y'all. This is a damn tasty Helles lager. It's really good. But what I know about this beer and what people say about it overseas and them getting it, you know, super fresh, I just feel like this could be a lot better. Fresh. You know what I mean? By the way, this one was imported by in Pennsylvania by a Global Village Imports. Obviously, brewed in Munich, Germany. They do the brewed according to the purity law, like all the other Helles lagers you see. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to give this one a low 4.25. I'll go 4.2. That's really the best I could do on a beer that, you know, has age like this, and I can tell it has age on it. You know what I mean? And it traveled numerous times, so it's not like, you know, again, this is the super fresh version of this beer or anything, but it is a nice offering, and it's just as good, if not better, than most of the other authentic German Helles lagers that I've had. But fresh, I think, would be superior to all of them, in my opinion. So Anyway, price point availability, I have no idea because I didn't pay for it. I would assume like a lot of the other ones, if it comes in 6-pack, you're probably looking at like at the very lowest 12, probably more in that $14 to $16 realm. But yeah, I'd imagine like that, a bottle that's like $250-ish, maybe like $269, $279. I'm fine with that. It's a really tasty Helles lager. And the availability, like I said, here in the US, we do get this now. Just don't see it everywhere, obviously, because I have not seen it. Obviously, Sierra Hotel has. I know other people have. And I would say if you can get your hands on this one and you like German lagers, but specifically Helles lagers, don't walk, run to your nearest beer store and grab it because it's worth giving it a go. 4.2 out of 5 is a great score, but I was just in my mind thinking this was going to blow my socks off, and it didn't. And I think it is because of the age and traveling and all that, but we'll see. But I do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, Sierra Hotel, for this one. Awesome that he sent it my way. Like, so stoked to be able to review this one and finally try it. But if you see any beers from Augustiner-Bräu, check them out because they make some fantastic beer. Their Maximator is a sensational Doppelbock, and that Edelstoff is a great, what was it? It's an export? I forget exactly what style that Edelstoff is, but yeah, check it out. So if you've had this one before, please post in the comment section. Is this your favorite authentic imported German Helles if you're here in the States? If not, what do you think is better? Have you ever done a side-by-side as far as like a blind beer taste goes? Let me know. I'd be curious to find out. So anyway, thanks again, Sierra Hotel. Thanks to everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Oh yeah, hey, yeah, very clean beer too, like very clean. And a lot of times we talk about a lager funk, right? This really doesn't have any of that lager funk, that sulfuric kind of lager funk. That's kind of, didn't notice in the nose, didn't notice in the taste, just not here. And a lot of times with Helles's, I do get a little bit of lager funk, not seeing it here. Anyway, to the next one. Cheers. Prost.